Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Money and Mindset. You've got Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money Live, and Dr. Thyonne Gordon, Dr. Story Genius. Good morning, TG. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I am doing great. Things seem to be off to a good start. I'm trying to make sure I'm working on this big screen, and it's always kind of got me a little puzzled, like where to look because the camera's up there, I think. But I think I could just look straight ahead and it looks straight, but it's so weird.
So you're in Santa Barbara. What's the weather like there?
The weather is gorgeous. I've been getting up and doing my runs in the morning or run walk because I try not to do too much of a run these days with the knees. But it's gorgeous. It's beautiful, beautiful. The tide is in, which during this time is really interesting because when the tide is in, it's like the water is just coming up on the rocks. So you can't really walk on parts of the beach because you'll probably drown. But it's beautiful. It's not like our time in Jamaica because the water is freezing cold.
Exactly.
But it's still beautiful just to see it and to think, well, it could kind of be like Santa Barbara, kind of be like Jamaica, but it's not quite. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. How is the weather in Las Vegas?
Cold, 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 cold. The one thing that I don't like, cold.
Everybody thinks because Vegas is a desert that it's always hot.
No, it's the extremes. It's like it's hot and it's hot, and then it's cold and it's cold. There are a few months throughout the year where it's perfect. I have to admit that the spring kind of transition is beautiful. And so I think I'm going to put on my calendar those specific months that it's okay to be in Vegas. It's not okay when it's cold and it's not okay when it's hot, but that's okay because I'm loving my island here and I'm going to embrace my island lifestyle. So
well, embrace your island lifestyle in your head.
I'm ready to get, and it's so funny because spending so much time in Jamaica, you create real relationships. And so my buddies are sending me, when are you coming back? Marlon is, when are you coming back? What are you doing? And I'm like, don't worry. Do not tempt me too hard.
You are really good because somebody has been texting me from Jamaica. I don't even know who it is, a couple of them. And I haven't been really good at getting back because, the WhatsApp is always a challenge for me anyway. And being here, I'm sort of like, look, you guys, I'm not there. I'm not using WhatsApp. We got to let this go. I can't. So I'm not as good at keeping up with people. So tell them all I said hello, but I'm not on WhatsApp all the time. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I'm on that WhatsApp communication. Well, because of course we're communicating around the globe at this point. So all these different communications and contacts. But yeah. So it's exciting, but it's so funny because again, today's topic is what really made me think about missing the island because it was so easy to honor the rituals, routines, and to work within the resources that were available on the island, which we of course will get a chance to go into a little bit more in our conversation. But it really made me think a lot this morning about by now I would have already gotten in almost 8,000 to 10,000 steps.
Exactly.
I would have listened to at least 3 episodes of Joel Osteen. I would have waved with my morning group of folks that I randomly passed, doing those steps.
And you would have saved somebody in the ocean.
Right, exactly. All of these great things, all these great memories.
It would have happened by now, but instead you're at home studying for your finals, which is
exactly that right there.
That's right. So that's actually good. It's good that you're there.
Yes.
What have we got to talk about today?
So today we actually, and it's the perfect time because a lot of times around the holidays, as people are kind of ending out the year, then they start thinking about what they want to accomplish in the next year. And I feel like we have a shot of optimism. I feel like there is definitely a leadership change. Hopefully with that leadership change, there will begin to be some healing. I think our country needs a lot of healing. And we need to find new ways to communicate and embrace one another and respect our differences, as well as, recognize our similarities. We're all Americans. We're all looking to accomplish similar outcomes as it relates to our families and our lives. So we really could accomplish more from a unified standpoint than taking an adversarial stance. So it's a great time to think about what our rituals, routines, and resources are. And so this topic, I think, is, again, timely because of the time of year, but also because I think people are receptive to this type of thought process at this point. So I was thinking about some of my rituals. What are some of your key morning rituals? Because you have been very disciplined, my friend. I must tell you, you've been very disciplined in the morning. You're an early riser and you get up and you make certain things happen on the regular. So tell us a little bit about those rituals and why they are so important to how you begin your day.
I love rituals. And I just want to start off by saying I really appreciate this topic of rituals and routines and resources and what we have at our fingertips to use. And I love rituals because it reminds me of growing up as a child. And everything was ritualistic in our house and everything was a routine, even though it seemed like the most chaotic house because I have 7 siblings and my mom, and when my dad was alive, that was in the early years, we were up early in the morning. We could smell the pancakes or the bacon and the eggs or whatever my mother was cooking. We always had breakfast together. That was one of the rituals I really, really appreciated growing up. And just everyone sitting at the family table, saying grace, eating together, and then going on our way. It was just something that not only brought us together as a family, but also allowed us to kind of see each other individually, because my dad might ask a question and my mom would say something else, and everybody had their own individual thing that was happening. We also had the discipline at the family table and all that kind of thing. And my mom was just a great cook. So when I think about ritual, I think about those things that you do on a regular basis, those things that you do because they are customary in your culture or customary in your family. Going to church every Sunday was ritual as well. Even though my dad didn't go to church with us, I was sort of like, well, how come he's not in this ritual? That's not fair. No, but we couldn't say that. But he didn't go, but we would be dressed to go to church every Sunday. And that was putting on your Sunday best, and you wanted to represent, and you had your shoes that you only wore on Sundays, and all those type of things were part of the ritual. And even in the church, the opening where the choir's walking in and preparing the tables and preparing the place in the church, all of these rituals, though we take them for granted. And I think a lot of times people don't appreciate them now. There are reasons for ritual. And as I lead up to now, I have been, of course, once you leave it and you take it for granted, you get older, you're like, oh, I don't have to go to church every Sunday. I can lay in the bed and sleep in, and I can do this and I can do that. And you start realizing that those rituals were there for a reason. Those routines were there for a reason, to keep you moving forward, to keep you doing something that puts you in a cycle, and it keeps your system regular as well. So as I got older, I started realizing the importance of ritual and started making health as a part of my ritual, taking care of my health. And my rituals include things, again, to take me back to my childhood, like having a morning cup of coffee, which sometimes I don't even drink my whole morning cup of coffee, but I enjoy boiling the water. My mom used to use a percolator. I don't know if anybody remembers a percolator. Those are old type coffee pots. But I do a press. So I like doing a morning coffee press where I grind my beans, I boil the water, I put the beans in the press, I put the water in, and I press it. And it's something about just that press that helps me in the morning. Stephanie, you mentioned I get up early. You know, I'm an early riser. I wake up at like 5 in the morning, and I have to hop out the bed. One of the things I do to hop out the bed is I move my alarm to another room or something, or to the other side of the room, so that I have to get up to hit the alarm, because trust me, I wouldn't want to get out of the bed all the time. And then I do a little stretch. I do a morning meditation, and I'm doing that meditation while I'm getting ready to go out for a walk or a run or exercise or something. Even if I don't go outside to exercise, exercise is part of my morning routine. So that means I may jump rope inside or jump rope on my patio, or maybe that exercise will just be stretching that morning. But whatever it is, I do something to get my body moving for the day. And I don't care what the movement is, the ritual is about the movement in the morning. And then I'm able to start my day with a reading, or my work, or getting in touch with people, or doing this. This is part of our ritual now. And it just brings that routine and those rituals that you do. Now, I would call the coffee press a ritual. I would call the exercise a routine. It's something I do every single day. It's not necessarily a ritual, but it's something I do every day. Rituals are a little different. They're meant for that mindset, more of the mindset. Routines are what you just do on a regular basis. So those are some of the things that I do and why I enjoy them. People getting into routines is what helps you propel forward. Having a ritual is what helps you connect to that body, mind, spirit, self. So the ritual is about the mindset, and the routine is about the money. That's how you're moving forward. That's how you get the abundance. What are some of your rituals, Dr. Bunny?
Well, it's so interesting. We definitely have. I would say over the years, I've never been a natural morning person, but I have been a forced morning person, because when I started my company early on, I had East Coast clients, and it was always important for me to be the first caller, which meant that I was making early morning calls, at 5 a.m. There were periods of times that I was up at 4 a.m. because I was working with a client. I remember I was consulting to Calcan M&M Mars, and at the time I lived in Woodland Hills. And the best time to get from Woodland Hills to Vernon was early morning. So I was up at 4 a.m. and, out the door super early, and worked super long hours there. And then also could get out of there early to beat the traffic back to Woodland Hills. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I haven't functioned in an early morning environment. It's just that I naturally am a vampire. So I can be sleepy all day long, and about 5 o'clock, I wake up. And from 5 to midnight, 1 a.m. is when my most creativity, my most creative thoughts seem to flourish, And so when I had the agency, it meant that I really put in a lot of hours, because I would work, the normal hours, reaching my clients early. And then after my staff left for the day, about 5 or 6, then I would stay in the office and work another 4 or 5 hours to finish whatever it was that I really needed to spend some quality time thinking about, developing a strategy. But what I noticed when I think about my rituals and routines, one of the things that seems to be so important to me is having that morning cup of coffee. And I take my coffee. People say I add coffee to my cream because the coffee has to look a certain color. But this is the trick, because it reminds me of being a little 3 and 4-year-old pontificating with my grandmother. We would have coffee. Well, she would make me, I guess, cream with a splash of coffee.
Exactly. So you're picking up that same thing, like I'm with my grandma.
Right. Make me think that I'm having coffee with my grandmother. And then we would strategize about what was happening in her day. And so they called me precocious because I was all up in the grown folks' business at 3 and 4, shot calling. I mean, one time it was so funny. I had negotiated my way into preschool. And my grandmother was so mad at me because I, at 3, decided that I wanted to go to preschool because my cousins were going to this school. So I'm with her and I'm like, yeah. So the people go ahead and they let me in. She's telling them, no, she's only 3. And I was like, no, I'm going. So they let me in the school. Then a week later, I'm ready to quit. And so she's like, no, you made me. So you're going to stay. People were coming that day. And they were like, is she really only 3? And she goes, yeah, I was trying to tell you guys. And they're like, well, then she can't go. And so my grandmother was so outdone. She was like, no, you didn't. You didn't talk your way in. Then when you're ready to quit, you luckily get out. She was like, she said, okay, we're not doing preschool. You won't start school until you 5. So that gave me a whole nother year plus to hang out with my grandmother. So I noticed that this whole coffee, quiet time to kind of meditate, to think about your day, that is just natural, and I have gone periods where I said, well, I'm gonna give up coffee. Like I didn't have coffee when I was pregnant and all that stuff, but I had to find something else to replace that part of my routine. And I found really just reconnecting with that and getting the exercise part going. I'm funny about this exercise thing because I have worked out early mornings, and I used to work out early mornings because I love being in the gym by myself, but it's kind of the same thing. When it's freezing outside, I don't like the cold. Exactly. So, it's like it really becomes a mind over matter. And so kind of like you said, you got to just jump out and go for it and run, And so if I'm not outside, I find that I'm spending time like, well, I'm making the coffee, I'm doing dances and stretches and moving and, starting that whole groove. Mm-hmm. And then also the journaling that we talk about oftentimes, reflecting at the end of the day before I go to sleep, what am I thankful for as a result of what transpired during the course of a day. But when you look back, you begin to realize that these things become fabrics and the story of your life, right? We were talking about how around the holidays, I used to help my mom with decorating, and we would pull out our journals and we would start planning our following year, which was something that I wanted to pass on to Sterling so that he would have that need and desire to reflect, but more importantly, to make plans, to put in writing what he would like to see manifest in the coming year.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And, we take those things into our lives. I just wanted to say the actual meaning of the word ritual so that people understand this difference between having a ritual, having a routine. A ritual is a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, actions, or objects performed in a sequestered place and according to a set sequence. So a lot of people also look at rituals, like we both talked about this coffee ritual of how we do it, because we both like to grind the beans and all that. It has something to do with all of the modalities. You hear it, you smell it, you taste it, you touch it. Everything gets to be a part of this ritual. It's almost like a ceremony, but people normally don't think about making coffee as a ceremony. But it is something that can become quite ceremonial. You're doing it in a certain place. You're doing this in a certain order. You're doing it so that you can sit and have some time to just reflect. Rituals normally occur in some quiet place, like they said, a sequestered place. Churches, you see a lot of ritual, lighting of the candles, different things like that. And to put a ritual in place for yourself to help you get into the mindset of just meditating, just giving yourself 5 minutes. You can do all sorts of things. When I want to do my meditation and really sit and do my meditation, I use the ritual of using the singing bowl, and I actually hit the bowl so I can hear, I find a quiet place. First of all, I like to do mine in front of my fireplace because water and fire are the things that just enliven me and calm me. And so I'll sit in front of the fireplace, I'll put a log on, have the fire going, and then I begin the ritual of getting myself prepared to meditate or to be quiet with myself. I'll put my bowl there. I may have some water with me, and I usually will put some flowers around. All of these are part of that ritual process because you put objects for your ritual ceremony, and you make it like a ceremony. Ceremonies like this and ritual really, really, they just get your mindset prepared for everything else that's coming your way. So I really encourage people to think about something you can do as a ritual to help calm your mind. Right now, as we're living in this world with the pandemics, with all the strife, all the anxiety, all the stress that's going on, rituals can really, really support your body, mind, and spirit. And then the routines, like Dr. Money, you talked about not necessarily liking to get up early, but you know you're going to have to do some movement and things like that. Exercise is a great routine to get into, whether you're doing it in the evening, whether you're doing it in the morning. And it's funny, I have a young lady staying, renting a room from me. And she sees me get out and work out. And she's like, I just think maybe you're stronger than other people. I don't know how you do that. I can't work out in the morning. It makes me tired. Da, 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 da. So during the pandemic, she's picked up about 12 to 15 pounds. Uh-oh. Now she's sort of like, I have to exercise. I have to get ready. I have to, my body is not feeling good. I'm like, well, it might be all that fried food. And, you know, maybe you could just move around a little bit more, you know. Well, now she's starting to get up and walk in the morning. So all of this, I can't work out in the morning. It makes me tired. It does this. Whenever you work out, your body is going to adjust for whatever it needs. If I work out in the evening, when I'm done, I am exhausted and I pass out when I get back. If I work out in the morning, I'm invigorated. And it just works like that. Your body adjusts to do whatever it needs to do. So pick a time to have a routine to get moving and things like that. The other types of routines that you can do, which I consider my journaling a routine. That's book is sitting right next to my bed so I can write something before I go to bed. And that's just a routine. Pick up the book, do this. You only get routines and rituals through habit. It's not like, oh, I got to get motivated to do this. There is no motivation for doing some of this stuff. I don't like to exercise. I really don't. It is not motivation that gets me to exercise. It is dedication and discipline.
Oh, and telling somebody to be in the carnival wearing pink feathers will make you exercise extra.
Tricking people by telling them things like that. That's right. You gotta use the mindset to work. You got to do that type of thing.
Yeah, that part right there. That's
a mindset shift. You know, you're going to be in this wonderful carnival, Stephanie. It's going to be beautiful. And then once she looks at the picture, she's like, but they have nothing on. I'm like, yes, they do. They paint something on their paint. Yeah, they have body paint on. So, but she made the commitment to be in the carnival. So now she's got to exercise. That's some motivation right there now. Now that might be a little motivating.
We've been cracking up, but guess what? It's working.
It's working, right? It's working. So once we get our mindset straight, we can move forward to anything. I see one of our guests on here is Minnie Roseman, and Minnie is an author amongst all sorts of other things. Minnie's just this wonderful person who had her mindset on getting this project out. She's working on a book. We're going to get that book out. Minnie's a perfectionist though. So Minnie goes back and back and back. Minnie's routine is to keep going back, and I'm speaking to her right now, so she's going to be like, oh my God, what did she say? Why is she telling on me? Her routine is to go back and perfect and perfect and perfect. And we're going to get her out of that routine so that she can create her next book and her next book and her next book.
Yeah, she needs to release is what it sounds like. There's a
point to release it.
Release, mama, release.
She has to release it. She's got her little smile faces on here like, no, you told on me. So we're going to get her to release that book. But the routine that she did, what she put into this book and getting it done was working on it on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. That's what routine is like. You have to get into the habit of doing what you do. You have to do it. You have to do it every day. You have to do it in a habit. You must do the thing over every day so that you get those habits that become the routines. And Minnie says she's ready now, and that I'm absolutely right. And she's going to release that book. That means I'm going to talk with her this week. When I finish, we're going to talk this week. We're going to talk today. I'm going to call you as soon as I have a free moment. And we're going to be getting that book out. So the other thing that
Minnie on releasing.
That's right, releasing. Now, what about resources? How do we use resources to build these routines and rituals that we need to have in our life and keep them as habits? Dr. Money, you want to share about about some resources we may use?
A lot of times people immediately think that they need something external. It's like the first, oh, well, I need this perfect thing, or I need it. Stop. Take an assessment of what you already have. Go through your house, your room, your workspace with fresh eyes, and look and see what you have that you're not even utilizing, that could be gifted, released to someone else, so that you create a clearing for new space, for new things to come to you. And so sometimes we find ourselves thinking that we're lacking resources, but we're filled to capacity with stuff. We don't even have any room to receive anything else because we have so much stuff. So I say go through first. We've talked about that, clearing the clutter. And it's really the same thing. Go through and look at what you have. Sometimes you may have something as simple as, when I think about our exchange, you are a wonderful storyteller and wordsmith. And it's always so refreshing to me. I gain so much in conversations, especially when you restate, reorganize, and bring in the rest of the communication to fill out, a story or a thought, because that makes the communication more full and more complete. Sometimes I'm running so fast in my mind that I think I'm talking in like sound bites. I'm notorious for talking in sound bites. And I used to have, I have other friends who will say, we weren't in on that part of the conversation. It's like, oh, I had that conversation without you. Oh, I'm sorry. oh, you weren't in on that part. Okay. Okay, I forgot. I'm running. Okay. So part, decipher, figure it out, right? It's in code. But that is an amazing resource, right? Because it ensures that if we are tackling something together, I don't have to worry about stopping my process, because I know in communication, you're going to catch it and you're going to allow, you're going to go, okay, we need to fill in some more gap here to make this a complete communication. So that's just in relationship. If we're working on a project, then I know that I can do this broad stroke outline. I know that Dr. TG, she's going to fill in the gaps and make sure that the story is complete. Well, what is that in other things, right? We are in holiday season. We're operating distant and remote from family members. Maybe there's somebody that is a good source of uplift. Maybe it's using Zoom or Facebook to connect with a small group of family members and having, family stories, right? That's a resource of uplift at a time that people might be missing being with other family members. Get your kids together, have them do a performance that's just for family. One of the things that you shared with me, TG, is how your family has had a standing Sunday call. And you guys have all been on Zoom for years. And I thought that is so powerful. I have family that's spread out. What a valuable opportunity to have had, the visual. And it's like you're connecting, you get to see them grow. It's like taking technology and using that as a resource. So those are kind of some of the things that I think of that are just basic, don't require significant investments, but it's just looking at what you have available at your disposal and thinking differently about how you can utilize those tools to address something that you may think is a void or a gap, or that you may think is a tool to bless another person. Because the more you shift into how you can bless another person, the more you find and create space for your own blessings.
Absolutely. That was said so well, because you're closing us out back on our gratitude, always being grateful for what's here and making that space to you bless somebody else, you end up blessing yourself. And I really, really love that as that closing message. Resources are all around us. You guys know I'm going to say, get your body moving. And the resource to get your body moving is, if you've got legs, you can walk. So that's free. You can walk. You can just walk around your house if you want. You can dance. You can move. Actually, I have a movement challenge that I should put this up on my website because I don't have it on my website, but maybe I'll try to put it in the Facebook. I'll put it in Facebook and I'll share it with you, Stephanie. There's a movement challenge. I'm in a sorority. We are raising funds for kids to go to college, scholarship funds. And we have a movement challenge called Oh Give Thanks. And Oh Give Thanks is you pledge whatever you want to pledge, whatever amount of money. And then you're also pledging to move from now through January 4th, every single day. Every day, some kind of movement. Take a picture, post it, let us know what it is. And you're giving thanks for the ability to just move. I mean, we may have some listeners out here who are not able to move their bodies in terms of walking or something like that. Then move that finger, move that thumb, move your head, tap, whatever it is. It's just about movement, getting our bodies moving and being thankful for that gift of movement. And again, if you know someone who doesn't have the gift of movement, make a pledge that you're going to move for them and do that. But every single day, move. And my team is called the Story Warriors. And we are warrioring our way to better health. And so I'll make sure to get that link to everyone. If you want to join us, you can get on my team, just put your name in there and make a commitment that you're going to do the movement. And then you'll send me pictures, and we're doing a Facebook group and all that kind of stuff to see the pictures of people moving. Get your routines in order and make sure movement is part of that routine. Find some ritual to connect to. Thank you for mentioning that my family does a family call. And when I think about my family, there are some rituals that my family just does. The holiday season is big for us. Everybody cooks. We do all of the Christmas things. And even when we're apart, we hop on a call together so that everyone is together. That is a family ritual that started, I don't even know when it started, before I was born. And Thanksgiving, we were all on that Zoom call. One of the youngest members of our family saying a powerful prayer, which just touched everybody's heart and filled all of us with the blessing for that day. And my daughter, oh my gosh, if I'm not home for Christmas, I have wanted to go away so many times for Christmas. And she's like, Mom, we have to be home and we have to do this. And she'll even go, she's 25 now, mind you. She'll even say, well, the Christmas angel has to be there and Santa's going to leave this and we have to make cookies for Santa. I'm like, okay, I remember that we did this, so I guess we'll keep it going. So we have some rituals that we do because they're just fun. Understand what your rituals are and how they connect you back to your mindset, back to your spirit. Know what routines are going to benefit you and find the resources. Dr. Money talked about relationships as resources. The most powerful resource. Get an accountability partner. Find somebody you can work with, that you can talk to, that you can bounce ideas off of. Get an accountability partner. I mean, I don't care if you pay a coach. Get somebody that you can talk to because it's important. I have a coach. I pay coaches. And I work with Dr. Money and I work with other people and we share our resources. Find these relationships. Relationships matter in keeping your mindset together. And without that mindset, you're not going to get to the abundance and the money that you're looking for. So get that together. Tomorrow, what's happening, Dr. Money?
So tomorrow we're going to have a surprise guest, and everybody, you got to tune in to find out who that guest will be, but we promise it'll be worth your while. So mark your calendar, set your alarm clock so that you can join us at 8 a.m. live tomorrow. And then we've made a small shift. We're no longer doing Q&A Fridays. We're basically doing money mindset Monday through Thursday. So feel free to post your questions, send us questions, however, and we'll weave questions in throughout the week. So tomorrow we'll conclude our sessions for this week, our episodes for this week, and then we'll jump to Monday, which hopefully I won't be showing too many signs of having been stressed out from final exams over the weekend. So
we're going to get to these finals with flying colors. I already
exactly. It's like I know you shouldn't do this, but I kind of calculated that worst case scenario, I won't flunk out this semester. It's like Okay, but I got to come back strong next semester to turn it around. That's so bad. I know, no one, universe, angels, we know I could still do this. I could still do this.
Got this, got this. You can't look out because I don't know anybody who's gone through a master's program or a doctorate program. C's don't get degrees. Usually for the bachelor's kids, when they're going to school, they're like, yeah, but I'm like a C student. I'm like, C's get degrees. That's an average student. You can do it.
Exactly.
When you're going for your master's or your doctorate, C's don't get good degrees.
Well, the great thing about law school is they tell you that a C is a good grade in law school because they know they're dumping it on you. So it's like, that's the first mind shift that they make sure that you know, yeah, you may have been an A someplace else. You won't be an A here.
Okay. So but you'll be an A because that's just you're like many. You're a perfectionist.
Look, I had to retire that after that PhD. that doctorate kind of brought me to my okay, guys.
Yep. Well, listen, everybody, we will see you back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And thank you so much for joining Money and Mindset with Dr. Money and Dr. Thyonne, the Story Genius. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye, guys.